You said too much. You just gotta say welcome back to the Deck Podcast, and then I'll say where we talk about everything philosophical, and then you can say this is part 5, and then we'll introduce ourselves.
Oh, okay, got it. Welcome back to the Deck Podcast,
where we talk about things philosophical.
This is episode 5, part 1.
Today we have Dane and Emily.
And Caitlin and Katahdin.
Groovy.
Alrighty, prison abolishment. So this episode, we're talking about, the free will views and other people's thoughts on prison abolishment. And next podcast, we'll hit up our own views. And that's really where the juice is at. Am I right? Or am I right?
You are very right.
But this is part 1, so we're not going to get to part 2 quite yet. Alrighty. We have 4 parts to this episode. We're going to explain free will views. We're going to say what those views, and then in part 1. And then part 2, we're going to say what those views say on abolishing prison. In part 3, we're going to talk about retributive justice. In part 4, we're going to talk about the views and what they say on retributive justice. Alrighty? Let's hit it up with part 1. Who wants to start?
Me?
I thought
I was just pointing over there.
I can start.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's hard? All right. I will go over hard determinism. Hard determinism is a belief about free will that we don't have free will. They're incompatibilists. They're incompatibilists, so they believe that free will, or they believe that we live in they believe that determinism and free will are incompatible. And they do believe we live in a deterministic universe, and so therefore we do not have free will. And so we're not really morally responsible for our actions because they were always going to happen from the circumstances of the past.
Solid.
Nice. Okay, well, I'll explain libertarianism. They think that we do have free will, and that it's kind of like no matter what, we do have free will. Like, no matter what decision or whatnot, we always have free will, and nothing could really change that. And so we always have, we always get to choose our actions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're also incompatibilists, where they believe that
them and hard determinism have that in common.
Yeah.
Where they believe that the deterministic universe is not aligned, is incompatible with free will. Mm-hmm. And they believe we have free will, so they believe we don't live in a deterministic universe.
Correct.
Boom. Oh, so perfect. Good, people.
Compatibilists.
Let's go, Dane.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so basically they're kind of like, dude, that determinism stuff is actually kind of cool. The world is sort of predetermined because what I did in the past determines who I am now and what I do now. Mm-hmm. But the compatibilists have they have their own definition for free will. It's not your every action is your absolute choice. They think that if what you're doing aligns with what you desire to do or what your values push you to do, then that would count as free will. So even if it's determined by past events and past actions and all of this stuff, as long as that is still what you actively choose and want to do, then that counts as free will.
If you want it, then it's...
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude. Fourth order desires.
Heck yes.
And you guys saw my major problem with compatibilism in class a couple of days back.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Wait,
It was good.
were you talking about it?
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, I do not understand.
Yeah.
And I was like,
He was pretty heated.
I was heated.
I could not focus. It was just zoning out.
Okay, well, let's go to the next
Part 2. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
All right.
Should we abolish prison?
And what do each of you think about this question?
No. Mm-hmm. Not what we think. What a libertarian would think.
No, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this isn't part 2 of the Should We
Okay.
Abolish Prisons podcast.
Hit it up, K-Dog.
This is. So, hard determinists on should we abolish prisons. Well, hard determinists do not think anybody is morally responsible for anything, and they don't believe we have free will at all. So, prisons are therefore like
They don't necessarily serve a purpose in that regard.
there is no purpose for a prison. Nobody would ever be thrown into prison because
Because they're not morally responsible for what they did, so there's no reason to punish them for their actions.
Exactly, their
Yeah, that's what
actions.
it's saying.
Like a bad
just-
person can be a bad person, but they were never not going to be a bad person, and they can never be a good person because they were always going to be a bad person, and so therefore they should never be thrown in prison because how can they be responsible for that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Who's next? Me? You?
Whichever one.
I'll go.
Okay.
Hoorah!
Hoorah! Compatibilism and abolishing prisons. So once again, like, the world's kind of determined, but you still are responsible for your actions. But once again, the compatibilist view kind of plays off of like how your past has made you who you are, and then how your past influences your current actions. And so with that in mind, I think a compatibilist would not abolish prisons, but they'd want to change them in a way for it to be less of a you commit a crime, you're punished for your crime, and more of a you commit a crime and then they're gonna try and look back into your past, into your your habits, your actions, and see what might have pushed you, caused you, or influenced you to commit such a crime, and then target that specifically instead of just punishing you.
Right, and did your wants and desires align with what you did? Like, did you desire to commit this crime?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that's
It's-
what makes it for your action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's different. Like, what is it? Kleptomaniac, where you impulsively steal.
Exactly.
Like at that point, they'd look at that and they'd say, okay,
It's more. Oh shit! I'm
like
so
you are less responsible for that than someone who purposely went out there and stole,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? Because
Great
it's
example,
impulsive.
yeah.
So then they're gonna look back and say, hey, well, we're gonna try and help you with that, help you through that before we just chuck you in a cell.
Oh, hoorah!
Okay, so a libertarian would say no, right? Yeah, they would say no because they think that we have free will and that we get to choose our actions, and people are put in prisons for a reason because they chose to have bad behaviors and do the bad things that they do. And so libertarians think that they should get punished because they do have free will.
Yeah, and I mean, with these views, just because they believe a certain way doesn't mean a person who would follow that belief system necessarily would think we should abolish prisons. Like for libertarians, for example, just because they believe we have free will and we're responsible for our actions, they can still think that prisons are bad. And, they might believe instead of believing in retributive justice, a libertarian believing in retributive justice, maybe they're a libertarian that believes in rehabilitative, what is the word?
That is true.
like rehabilitative.
Justice, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but
'Cause,
yes, you're right.
Retributive justice is more punishment based.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's jump into part
Okay.
3. What is retributive
I got
justice?
this.
Oh.
Retributive,
That
It was a
is-
good lead-in. It was perfect.
Yeah, that
Thank
is.
you.
Yeah.
good segue. Retributive justice. This is a justice that it's where you are punished equally for your crime and exclusively for your crime, right? Like you commit a crime, you are punished for that crime justly, right?
Right.
Yeah.
A person if you commit an action, if you commit a bad action, you are then punished for it. bad people who do bad things are treated badly.
Yeah, and in terms of retributive justice, it's not looking at what caused you to do such things. It's all just about you do an action, you're punished for an action, regardless of who, what, why, where, when.
Yeah.
It's the blame aspect.
It's like you did it, so you
Yeah.
get punished.
Which brings us to part 4.
Yes.
Which of the views between libertarianism, compatibilism, and hard determinism do not support retributive justice, and why?
Caitlin?
Yeah.
Can I not go first?
Okay, I got this. No, this one's easy.
Give me a second.
Okay, compatibilism. I would say it does not support retributive justice, purely on the fact that, once again, compatibilism is all about your past actions, and how those influence you, and then how you choose to act based off of those. And so, like, let's say, blah, 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 you grow up, all this stuff, you're like, grow up poor, right? You're struggling with money, you're starving, so you steal because you're starving, right? That's different from someone who's just stealing for the sake of stealing. And so I think with that in mind, compatibilists would not support retributive justice, because within retributive justice, you are not looking back at what caused someone to do such actions, right?
But I mean, unless their ideals and desire aligned with what they did, because then it would be a free action, right?
Yes, but once again, you'd still look back and on what made them do that, and then you'd say, hey, maybe instead of just punishing them for this, maybe we should look at what caused them to do it, and then go
More
from
like
there. Like, go back a couple blocks on the chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's probably different levels of compatibilist, and so some might say, yeah, retributive justice.
Of course.
That's a thing that I believe in, that I think people should be punished
Absolutely.
for their actions, because if their desires aligned with what actually happened, because then it was a free action. But like you're saying.
And once again, like, retributive justice, like, when I say they wouldn't agree with retributive justice, I still absolutely think that compatibilists would want people to be punished for your actions. Even the guy who stole because he was starving, stole out of desperation, still should be punished for stealing. It's just, it's going to be different, right? Like, they're not going to give the person who's, like, if we look at the compatibilists, they'd say, oh, hey, you were starving, you were going to die, you stole because you wanted to live, versus, like, you stole because you felt like it and you had no other reason, right?
Because there's a difference between those actions.
Yeah, yes. And so that's why the compatibilists would look back and then probably give those people, like, maybe the same, they might give them the same, like, sentence or something, but they'd give
more resources.
Yeah, more resources, and then I think there'd be different end outcomes. Versus retributive justice would look at both of those people and say they're the exact same.
Or maybe, like, instead of being, like, in prison and being on probation or something like
Yes,
that.
yeah.
That is very true.
That kind of leads into libertarianism, how they don't believe in retributive justice, and they believe more in rehabilitation.
Well, they would, since they believe you have free will, they would support retributive justice. But I mean, they would support both.
The question is,
What am I?
why would they not support retributive justice?
No, which of the views would not support retributive justice? Because like
And
like
why?
like hard determinists would not support retributive justice, right? Because they think you're not morally responsible for your actions, because
But
you don't have free will,
like,
and so they would not.
but
they would not support
libertarianism
retributive
believes
justice.
in, like, partial free will, right?
No, libertarians believe in you have total free will. They're both, hard determinists and libertarians are both compatibilists, or incompatibilists, excuse me. And the hard determinists don't believe in free will, and the libertarians do believe in free will. Thanks. Am I a little hot? Coming in a little loud.
Cheers.
And so the libertarians would support retributive justice, I would say. Because you are morally responsible for your actions, so you should be punished for them.
You're talking about libertarians? Yeah, I agree. Cool.
Any other?
I have nothing
thoughts?
to add. It's not my view, so I don't understand it. I don't know.
I don't really
I tried.
understand any of the views, honestly.
Some of them are easier than others. I feel like
Yeah.
I just feel
libertarianism
like
is pretty
it's-
easy. It's like,
No, I'm saying like they don't really.
Don't say that. That's kind of mean.
well, no, I feel like it's only easy because like you have free will, therefore you're held responsible,
Uh-huh.
But
and that's it. Like for every single thing you do, you are held responsible for.
A
doing it.
why do the
libertarian.
names have to be so similar?
I feel like
That's what I think.
libertarianism and hard determinism are probably the two easier ones. Just because I mean,
Yeah.
hard determinism's wild because it's just like, dude, you were gonna do that since the day your
the universe was created. Yeah, exactly.
grandpa was born. So
True.
why should you
The
care?
universe was created.
Yeah. So why do you even care at that point, right?
Yeah.
Right. The one that gets a little fishy for me is compatibilism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soft
I agree.
determinism.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of funny.
Yeah.
Kind of wackos.
Yeah.
No, we don't pass judgment though on this podcast.
Absolutely not.
No,
well,
absolutely
except
not.
for part 2. Where we talk about personal opinions.
Hey,
Not
check
this
back
one.
in for podcast 6. Wait, do we have any final thoughts? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
Final thoughts?
people.
No.
Nope.
No.
We should make the names more different. 'Cause
I
they're very
actually I
similar.
agree with that.
Because that's what gets me. Because like individually I get them, but then all
Name
of
them after
together
old
are-
dudes who used to talk about them.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, like the
everything
Jews.
else in philosophy. Literally everything else ever.
You mean the free will views? The views
Yeah.
on. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
Why not just call it the pro free will?
Fun fact.
No, because you have like the Socratic method.
Okay. I see what
or like
No, fun fact.
Frankfurtism for
yeah.
like compatibilism or something.
well, and then you have like what was it, like Pascal's wager.
Even stuff that's
know,
not
all that
philosophy,
stuff.
True.
like is named after
Yeah.
old white men.
Yeah,
Like
it works.
fun fact. Sorry,
And
I did
usually
not
they
mean
have
to
like
hit you.
pretty cool names, so it's easy to remember.
Tampons are actually named after an old white man.
Wow.
That's
Okay, we're
actually
getting off
really
topic.
funny.
that is for another podcast another time. All right, check back in for episode 6 where we talk about our own views. It's gonna be insane.
D-Dog signing off.
E-Dog signing off.
K-Dog signing off.